start broadcast button on Instagram, because if you're not on Instagram, you're not a real person.
No.
Or you can't share your imaginary life with everybody.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, people spend a lot of time making their imaginary lives up. I saw someone last week. Me and Heidi went to the Pablo Picasso exhibit. It's a thing at the Pullman Yard, similar to the thing they did for Van Gogh, just not as big and
Right.
Not as cool. Although I love Picasso's art and I think he's amazing. I just I think it felt smaller. It felt like it had a lot of cool projection stuff, but maybe not as cool. So anyway, we were down there and there was a couple, and I think they were arguing for 30 minutes about how to take the pictures and who gets to post the pictures. Yeah. So you spent $80 total to go into this and basically be angry the whole time and maybe walk out with like one post to make your friends feel like, oh, wow, we should go see that.
Yeah.
And you didn't get paid by the actual event to do what you did, which is stupid. But, to each his own. I mean, who am I?
You got 12 likes, so it's good.
Well, some people is crazy. Some people get like 1,200 likes, and that still doesn't get you paid.
Right.
You know what I mean? You have to be like a Russian heiress who has like 4 or 5 million followers. And then maybe you might be somebody important. Maybe you might get a check. Or if you really know how to work it. Like my friend's daughter is brilliant at that. And she knows how to work it. So ultimately, she's got this like huge following and she's made money at it, which is really cool. You know what I'm saying? But how many people really can do that? 10? Have you guys got over 25 or 30,000 followers yet?
No.
100,000 followers?
Close. I think I have under 100.
Yeah, 100. Well, that's you. What about Sherry?
Like 400 maybe?
Yeah, she doesn't angle the camera behind her enough.
So like, it's because Sherry doesn't know how to operate the phone.
That's probably
She's like, how do I hit this post thing?
Yeah.
And people are just watching like old people and their Instagrams.
Right.
But dude, I embarrass myself all the time. People look at me. I'm sure people look at me all the time and they're like, you don't know what you're doing. Like, stop it. I have no Instagram skills compared to most people. Look at me. I'm trying to check Instagram right now. I can't get Instagram to work right now. It's horrible. It's embarrassing. And I'm supposedly a content provider. Whatever. I'm still using a mouse. I don't know all the tricks of the trade.
The mouse is awesome.
I wish I had a mouse on my iPhone. How about that?
You need to invent it.
Did you say I need to invent that?
Yeah, the iPhone mouse,
or like a trackball on your.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I bet you. Do you know how many people over 40 would basically start using that?
Right here.
Yeah, they missed that little ball that was on the what's that phone that everybody had? The email, the BlackBerry.
The BlackBerry. The BlackBerry had a trackball back in the day.
Everybody misses that.
Mm-hmm.
That was I don't care what anybody says. That was fantastic. I loved that phone. And then now, I've got nothing. Now my phone is, it's all touchscreen. It's all crazy. Okay, now let's see if it works. Let's see if we got Instagram yet. Unable to connect. Garbage.
Oh.
Garbage. It's I'm telling you, it's a curse. Because I have to start. It's interesting because I have to start the broadcast, and then I have to, once it's already started, I have to basically go in and create another added user in order for Instagram to start working. So it's kind of a trick because you have to use third-party software to make it work. It's a game. So I'll usually try it 2 or 3 times, and if it doesn't work by the second time or third time, I just give up and just move forward because everybody can always watch it later on YouTube. But you get so many fantastic followers and such traction on Instagram. So even though I hate it, I have to admit that it's a thing, and it's it's kind of worth time to make it work. That said, everybody, this is Sherry Tway and Justin Tway. If you are on Instagram, you can see what's up, Iris Kyle. Actually, Iris Kyle is here, but Iris can only see you, Sherry, and she can only see.
Well, she's the one to look at, so it's fine.
Yeah, right. Exactly. We proved that the hard way. Shout out to Carol Laws, one of my old compatriots from The Cultural Vibe, which is a show that has existed since before Source Magazine at Michigan State University. We started with Mike Rung, DJ Crazy Kaz, the Butcher from KMC Crew, DJ Hollywood, and my man Crazy K. And we were one of the first actually reporting magazines to the Source Magazine when they did reports, which hasn't happened in millennia. That's how old I am.
And then you're who discovered the rapper 6ix9ine, correct?
No, I have nothing. I want to just say right now, I have nothing to do with that guy.
Okay.
All right, so listen, everybody. Justin owns a gym in Alpharetta, Georgia, with his wife, Sherry here. They're both coaches. They're both trainers. They both have some level of competition experience. They're both healthy people who live a healthy lifestyle, which I think is always the goal, as versus, some people it's to get a look. Some people it's a presentation thing. Other people it's something completely different. Really quickly, if anybody wants to see this full resolution with the full screen, the best place to watch it is on Twitch. That's www.twitch.tv/Jason Staten. Or you can go to my Facebook, or you can go to Twitter. A lot of people don't know there's streaming video on Twitter. It's not just 160 words and Donald Trump. And there's also, in addition, another feed that goes out to YouTube, which is where all of this is archived. So if you want to go back and hear what Justin and Sherry have to say, you can always go back to YouTube. And you can join the conversation by hitting up Miss JUK in the chat, and she'll get you on. What's up, Queued Up Entertainment? So why don't you guys start off both individually telling me how you got into fitness?
Okay. You want to go first? I'll go first. So for me, fitness has been kind of a lifelong thing. I remember growing up and, action movies were the big thing. I'm 44. So, Schwarzenegger and Stallone was the big deal when I was growing up. So my parents went, to a regular box style gym, and I would kind of go with them on the weekends and leg press and do all that kind of stuff. And I actually didn't start exercising until I was in my almost 20, because I was afraid that everyone would make fun of me if I was in the gym. I wasn't strong enough. So I started kind of with that bodybuilding mentality through my 20s, which really all I got was super chubby because I was in a constant bulk phase all the time. And eventually I was having a lot of health issues. I was, pre-hypertensive, pre-diabetic. I had a lot of bad stuff going on, and I was barely in my early 30s. So I had a good doctor buddy that said, if I wasn't a competitive bodybuilder, I would look into this CrossFit thing. And I was like, oh, what is that? I kind of looked into it. I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't like running. I don't like a lot of this stuff, but I'll give it a shot. This was in 2007 when it wasn't really as big as it is now. It was in a guy's garage. You'd really pull up to his house, walk into his garage, and start doing workouts. And I would only show up on the days that were days I would do well, which would be like deadlift, back squat day, stuff like that. And if there was anything else that I wasn't good at, I wouldn't go that day. And then it kind of evolved into, becoming kind of a passion and learning about the fitness aspect of it. And, from there, the bug just kind of bit me, and started coaching in 2010. Coached at various gyms, was on CrossFit Strongman certification staff for a little while. Ended up moving to Georgia, coaching at what was CrossFit Alpharetta. Bought it in 2014. Fast forward a few years, we built this building that we're currently in 2020, I believe. So in a snapshot, that's kind of, I've been training half of my life, essentially.
Wow. And you, Sherry?
So for me, it's a little different. I did not have a fitness background growing up, didn't play sports or anything. Had to beg my parents to allow me to go to a gym in high school. I wrote a letter. I still have that letter. From there, I think in my early 20s, I was doing jazzercise and running. And then I ended up joining LA Fitness, thought I lifted pretty heavy. When I moved to South Florida, the gym was a little packed, and so I wanted to find something a little different. So I ended up going to an outside boot camp. That got a little stale, tried CrossFit, and fell in love. So I've been doing that for 7 years. It's just amazing when you see how strong you really are, how just it becomes like just a confidence booster. And yeah, I haven't looked back since.
Got you. Now, some people say, let's go here first. Justin, purchasing the gym.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back to you being a coach and how you arranged and executed purchasing that gym. How did that work and how hard was that?
Well, luckily, the guy that owned the gym before me was uber wealthy. He's one of the heirs to the Cox Communication billions. So for him, it was just kind of a trinket that he was done playing with. So luckily, I was able, I think I only paid like $25,000 for everything, which is, I got a really good, I just got lucky. You know, like anybody in life, honestly, it's right place, right time situation. I mean, I worked hard. The members were really invested in me. Like if I ever walked out of the gym, they probably would have all come with me. Like I was the face of the gym. And so we worked out a deal and had a business partner. Don't suggest ever having business partners unless you're married to them potentially. Never works out well. But, you know, we took out a couple loans and made it work.
Fantastic. Okay. And going a few years ahead, you left the place that original gym was at then, right. I suppose.
The location you're talking?
Yeah, the initial location.
Yeah. So then when I bought it, I relocated it as soon as we bought it. Because the location it was in, it was like in a back of a building down in the basement. You couldn't really, you couldn't find it. Like even if I told people how to find it, they would get lost.
I did.
Yeah.
I got lost.
Yeah.
And I don't ever get lost.
Yeah.
In fact, I think what happened was I was sitting next to it or something like that. And it was like, what kind of car do you drive? And you're like, oh, well, you're sitting literally right outside. And I was like,
you wouldn't have known we were there. So
like, this is the worst marketing.
It's not the best for drive-by traffic or for people to even know that you exist.
And why did you leave your second location? What was good about it and what was bad about it? And what
you're talking about the before we built this place?
Yes.
Well, you know, we had the opportunity to try to create some future wealth for ourselves. That's the whole play behind the building is build something. Like our business is worth nothing. It's us. So if I was to sell our business tomorrow, I mean, we might get 150,000 for it, but that's it. And that's really, it's not nothing, but it's nothing. So to have any kind of long-term retirement plan, you have to build something else that has value. And so, you know, this building is worth a substantial amount of money, and that's hopefully going to be our retirement when it's time to kind of close shop or sell this and the building and the business to somebody else. Cause then there's some actual tangible value there versus just, I got, 200 people that like exercising with me. That's not really worth a lot.
All right. If you guys want to talk to me for any reason, which I don't know why anybody would do that, but if you want to talk to Sherry or Justin, hit up Miss JUK, put your information in the chat. You have to do this on Twitch if you don't mind. And we will send you the link and then you can join the conversation and we can ask any questions or answer any questions that you guys want. Tell me this, CrossFit. A lot of people say a lot of negative things about CrossFit. A lot of people have interesting feelings about CrossFit, to borrow a term from Heidi. What do you guys feel about the negatives and positives of that? And I'm sure you're familiar even more than I am what people say about CrossFit.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's tough because some of it's valid. Some of the things that are said are valid, but I think it's like anything else. Like there's good lawyers, there's bad lawyers. There's good teachers, there's bad teachers. It's the same thing with gyms. If you're going to the right place, they're going to take time to make sure the intensity is appropriate for you. The movements are appropriate for you. When you're a beginner, they're not going to overload you and get you hurt. Injuries happen no matter where you're at, whether it's doing, leg extensions too heavy or you're on a Smith machine, whatever it is, or you're doing, thrusters in a CrossFit style workout. Right. So it's some of the complaints are very, very valid. Some of the workouts don't make any sense. Some of the intensity is out of control. But you got to look at it I've been around this a long time and I'm starting to kind of change and realize that the intention of the workout's more important than how fast you do it or how heavy you go or beating the guy across the room from you. That's just not important. So usually most of the bad stuff comes from somebody trying to win or go too fast or go too heavy. And that's where bad things happen. So being able to pull people back out of that's the art of good coaching. And it's tough because sometimes people want to drive through a wall, even though you're instructed like, hey, don't drive into that wall. And they're just going to,
they're going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Sherry, as a coach, how do you manage that?
Well, that's a tough one. Sometimes you have to let people crash and burn, to be honest. You really do. I think that just us being there and who we are, that people really trust us. And so building that trust with people and saying, look, I know what's best for you. If you take some weight off the bar and we work on those mechanics, I promise you will be able to lift more later. So just, I don't know, having a real conversation with someone and building that trust with them.
Got you. I guess I was curious if you have to if you're constantly watching your people in the gym, and in that process, how do you manage that? Like, is it hard to tell someone who's working out, like, listen, like, hey, you need to scale that back, or hey, let's work on this, and then put you back into the process of the workout, and then go from there. Like, sometimes you see people, when they're throwing stuff up, they're ready to throw a shoulder out, or they're gripping the bar wrong, or they're going too low, or they're not going low enough.
Well, we try to kind of nip that stuff in the bud preemptively. So, in our gym, we'll go over, movement expectations when we're briefing the workout, and then we'll generally have some kind of skill work where we're working on that movement. And that's where we can kind of start giving people direction, like, hey, here's my suggestion for this. Maybe if they believe that you have their best interests in mind and you're just not feed them a line of bullshit, like, they're going to probably listen to some degree, and some people won't. It is what it is. It's like anything else. Some people just won't listen. But generally, if you have a good rapport with your folks and they believe that you know what you're talking about, most of the time they'll pull back when they need to, when they should.
Got you. And this is something that's a complete variable. How many people unwittingly really do injure themselves? Because you've worked at all types of gyms, both of you guys. Like, how often do people unwittingly injure themselves? Should people be afraid of that, and how do they avoid it?
So I can tell you, I've been coaching CrossFit for 12 years now. I've seen one torn pec, and the guy was doing a weighted kipping pull-up, which I told him not to do. He had like a 70-pound kettlebell. I told him not to do it. And he didn't listen, and he tore his pec. I've had two guys tear labrums. They were both 63 years old or older, and they already had kind of labrum shoulder issues even before coming. They were athletes when they were younger. They both played college sports when they were younger. Outside of that, I think we had one girl she had a previous knee injury, re-injured her knee. I mean, we're talking a handful of injuries that are significant over 12 years. You get the occasional, you're like, oh, I tweak my back a little bit. That's the biggest thing that happens in this type of training, is you get people that will tweak their back because most everybody just sits down all day. So everyone sits down, they got super tight hip flexors, they're tight everywhere, and they come in and just try to they try to lift the biggest deadlift they've ever done when they probably shouldn't be doing it that day, because they're not taking into account that they slept 4 hours last night because their kid was up, or, it's Monday morning and they spent all Sunday drinking, watching football and sitting. So injuries really are not very prevalent in the gyms that I've been in. They just really aren't.
Sherry, anything to add to that?
I'll say we always stress mechanics first. Before applying load, let's work on those mechanics, get them perfect, and then we'll apply the load. So safety first is always what we stress in our gym.
Awesome. All right. So I'm going to make a hard left turn. And there's a question from the audience. Can you guys talk about fitness and health, mental/physical, etc.? Generally, exercise is part of the whole body and mind health paradigm.
Sure. So I know for us, fitness and health and exercising is one of the biggest pieces of just overall. Like, if I haven't been exercising, my mental health is off 100%. If my mental health is off, my exercise suffers. But if I get that exercise in, it makes everything a little bit better. So I think if you notice through the pandemic, people that were kind of shut in and stayed home and didn't do anything, all of a sudden they're having even more mental and emotional struggles than they ever had before. Part of that's, part of what makes our gym great is you're around another group of people. So there's, 15 other people in the room that you can interact with. It's not something you're just have your headphones in by yourself. So you're getting some interaction with people because everyone's working from home now. So I don't know if that answers your question or not, but I believe that exercise is one of the most important parts of being a human. Like, if you're not moving, you're on your way to dying. And everything else will suffer if you're not constantly challenging your body in some way, whether that's CrossFit or, bodybuilding or Spartan racing or whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter, but you need to be doing something.
Got you. Sherry, as a woman, a lot of women are afraid of bulking up. They're afraid of muscle mass. They're afraid of not looking like women.
Like me.
Is
I look
that
like a
real?
woman, but I have muscles. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't think Justin married you because you had, because you didn't look like a woman, or because you had non-woman attributes. So, for you and for managing that fear or those expectations, as you are introduced to new clients, how hard is that with the women that develop their way into CrossFit? How much is that a thing, and where do you think that comes from?
I'm not sure where it comes from. I think lifting weights just has a stigma of, oh, if I lift weights, I'm going to look like a man. Well, that's not going to happen.
Thanks, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Impossible. But a lot of it is genetic. So I have, there are women that come in and they really want to gain that muscle. They want to have the defined arms and then there are some that don't. They just want to be what I guess you would say is tone. And so, which
I hate
he's
tone.
like,
It's the
that's
worst
not even
term
a
ever.
thing.
Tone means you have muscles.
Yeah. So
and you have low body fat. That's what tone is.
you want muscles. You want muscles. That's why I tell women you want muscles. It helps you as you age. You really need that muscle mass. But genetically, like it's almost impossible for most women, especially, to put on that muscle mass. And just
especially females, like this is generalizing, but a lot of them aren't going to be eating in a calorie surplus and eating enough protein to really maximize the amount of muscle tissue that they can put on. Their hormones aren't going to be balanced either. So it's almost impossible for people to look the way they think they would look if they're going to pick up a barbell. Like, oh no, if I touch that thing, all of a sudden I'm going to transform into He-Man, and it's just not how it works.
Yeah.
Right. Not without a lot of other chemical interactions.
Right. I mean, even with that, even if you have, if you're taking testosterone or whatever you're taking, like you still have to work really, really hard for a very long time to see those adaptations. Like it doesn't just happen.
Right. And you have to be a genetic freak, essentially.
Yeah.
What's the best way to lose fat and build muscle?
So I think it's very difficult to do both at the same time. If you want to build muscle, you have to eat enough calories to build muscle. And in order to eat enough calories to build muscle, it's going to be hard. You're going to put on a little bit of body fat. I mean, I think it is possible if you're brand new to exercising to kind of get both. But most folks are going to have to choose what they want to do. Usually you have to kind of be through kind of a building muscle phase and then, limit your calories to kind of burn some of that body fat off, which will in turn also probably eliminate some of the muscle that you put on as well. That's why we don't focus on that kind of stuff. We focus on come in, work hard, eat a balanced diet, live a nice life, and your body's going to turn into kind of what we'd like to see is more like an athletic type of physique, not like a bodybuilder physique, but someone that looks more like an athlete, somebody that can use their body outside of the gym. I mean, that's, for me, the biggest thing I hear is, I got a guy that's almost 70 years old, and he's like, I was out skiing last weekend with my grandkids. My grandkids are 5 and 6, and I could ski 2 days in a row with them, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. And that's because I've been coming to this gym and I can do things outside of the gym. You don't really get a lot of that when you're only focusing on things like, well, how big can I build up my pecs, or how big can I make my quads? Like that stuff's not going to hurt when you're doing something outside of the gym. But what we do here is, functional is what people call it, but it really is like, it's going to help you do things outside of here. So you got to figure out what your goals are. And there's no magic bullet that's going to give you bigger muscles, lower body fat instantly. Like you kind of have to work at one and then kind of go the other. And it's kind of a constant back and forth battle.
What is HIIT training and how does CrossFit relate to that?
So I'm not super familiar with what, HIIT training is exactly. Usually what you see is it's going to be kind of like a boot camp style, high intensity, like you're going hard for a minute at a station, kind of back and forth. Low, usually it's movements that aren't super complex. Lighter weights, just kind of moving your body weight, quick, keep the heart rate up. But to me, what they're losing there is they're losing the adaptations that happen when you add load to what you're doing. So instead of just body weight squats, there's nothing wrong with that. Having a strength portion before your conditioning where you're back squatting up to like a heavy set of 5, you're going to create, more potential muscle adaptations by doing that. So there's nothing wrong, dude, trust me, like HIIT training or something like Orange Theory or F45, that kind of stuff. It's great. It just depends on what your goals are. I think what we do gives you the best bang for your buck if you're a regular person who wants to, look better with your clothes off and be able to do things out in life, like play with your kids, go play a softball tournament over the weekend, stuff like that.
But don't do both at the same time. Don't go play with your kids with your clothes off.
Unless, correct. Well, it depends. You never know. It depends on what culture you're in, I guess.
Yeah,
Europe might be okay. I
don't know that that's ever the right thing to do.
Yeah. So, with HIIT training, I think it's good, but I think you hit a plateau very quickly, I think, with that kind of stuff.
We get a lot of people that come in that they just want more.
I've been doing Orange Theory for 2 years now, and I kind of like the first 6 months I saw some changes, and you're going to lose some body fat because you're moving.
But also it goes back to the whole, like, I've lost some weight. Now I want to build muscle. All right. Well, we can get you there.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Right. You have to continue to challenge your body in different ways. Muscle confusion becomes a big part of CrossFit ultimately, is kind of what you're saying. Like constantly changing the programming so that your body doesn't adapt to it, so it continues to stay ready for whatever it's getting ready for. Question mark.
And we do, such a myriad of movements. There's so many movements that we do that it really would be tough to really get used to that. But there's going to be plateau points in CrossFit too. Like, I'm now 44. I'm probably not going to ever be as strong as I was in my 30s. Just, it is what it is. But I also have the stress of, being married, owning a business, trying to own a fitness business through COVID, building a building in COVID. Like, there's so much stuff that goes on that is more important than, how strong am I or how fast am I?
What was it like building a business during COVID? How did that, what was that process?
Horrible. First, one thing is, to me, honestly, it feels like for small business owners, the deck is really stacked against you to be successful, because there's things that happen. So, for instance, when you're building a building, before you even get to the bank for them to potentially approve a loan for you, you have to spend $50,000 with an architect just to get plans. And you could take that to the bank and they could say, sorry, your financials don't match up. No. And you just lost 50 grand. So let's say that works out like it did for us. Okay, cool. Our financials work out. Everything's great. Then you go into the next process, which is finding a builder. Well, is the builder any good? Who knows? Are they going to show up? I don't know. A lot of times we would drive by our building. There was one guy working, a singular guy, because COVID, the day they shut us down in our other space for COVID was the day they broke ground on this building. And so it was awful.
So you had to sustain both buildings at least for a period of time during an economic depression that was caused by a pandemic.
Our membership and trying, to film videos every day to try to keep people somewhat involved.
Are you guys still doing the videos?
No. Luckily we're in Georgia, and that kind of shutdown didn't last very long, and people were eager to get out of their house very, very quickly.
And was that hard for you guys to manage? You know what I'm saying? Because at that time that you were coming back online, they had no COVID vaccine. They had they didn't even have protocols really in place.
Yeah, I mean,
we limited our classes, clean like crazy.
They put out some kind of guidelines, but that nobody ever came and checked on us. We could have had 100 people in here with no masks, all kissing each other, and it wouldn't have mattered because there was nobody checking on anything. There's like, hey, here's some guidelines, and that was it. There was no guidance after that. There was nobody checking. So what our gym looked like here outside the perimeter in Atlanta, which is a little more suburbia, if you were inside the city, polar opposites of what was happening. They had specific stations. You had to wear your mask into your spot, do your workout there. You could take your mask off, but if you left your little square, you had to put your mask back on if you went to get water, use the restroom. Whereas we never had that experience. But also, like, we had zero spread until Omicron hit within our gym. When Omicron hit, then everybody got sick, and by that point, most people were vaccinated or had already had it, so it wasn't that bad. But eventually, people just kind of forgot about it. Almost like within our four walls, it wasn't really a topic of discussion. We let people do what they wanted to do. If you want to wear a mask, do it. Like, good, fine. If you want to go to the back of the room and kind of be by yourself, go do it. If you didn't care, and 3 weeks of us being closed, the first thing you do is walk in and give your buddy a hug. I can't stop you from doing that. We did our best to keep people distance, but people are people, you know?
Yeah. Social animals.
Yep.
Mhm.
I noticed there was a gym that was by the Beltline, and they did CrossFit, but what they did is they owned their parking lot behind their establishment, so their parking lot kind of faces the Beltline. So they would just drag everything out of the building, do their workouts,
Yep.
and literally leave everything out and clean. You'd see them clean in between stuff, and then they'd set it up for everybody, and then the next group would come in.
Yep.
And they just spaced it out so they were able to survive that way. But it must have been very hard to keep an establishment open.
Total nightmare. Total nightmare. And then all that's happening is you're seeing these people that you really, really care about, because we form relationships with the people here. We know their kids, we know their names, we know about their lives. You're seeing these people just waste away because they're just stuck at home all the time. And, I saw a really sharp increase in alcohol consumption with our clients, like huge increase. So you're seeing these people stay at home all day, sleep in, wake up, work longer hours because now they're just at beck and call whenever.
The boss is like, you can't be doing anything else.
No, hop on the call. It's 9 p.m. Let's get it done. And they're drinking more and they're not exercising. I mean, it's just the last few years has been a really bad cycle for just health, of most Americans in general.
Yeah. A quick shout out to Emil Island Avilo, who's joining from someplace else that's not here. Miss Angelo, is it Angelo Anjole? You can't sometimes. Kyle Watson, what's up? A few other people are joining, and we appreciate it. It looks like a few people from your gym actually joined, so thank you guys for actually promoting it.
Yeah, I saw Danny. Shout out to Danny.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Danny and Jen.
In terms of diet, like, how do you guys feel about keto? At one time, keto was a huge thing when I was a father.
I think it's like any other fad diet. Anything works if you adhere to it. Any diet you do, if you do it, it will work. The problem is the way that the American culture is set up. You're not going to be able to adhere to that. Most people, you're going to have your outliers that are freaks and they're going to go to bed at 8 p.m. and they're going to only eat fats and meats and eat raw liver or whatever. But what happens when you get invited to a birthday party or a holiday party or you're on date night? It starts to become so constrictive that you can't keep doing it. And it's not a good quality, in my opinion. I think it's a terrible quality of life. Versus, carbohydrates aren't inherently bad. Like there's no bad food group. There's no bad foods, bad amounts.
How about French fries?
I mean,
my doctor said I can't. He said stop eating French fries. They turn to sugar as soon as they hit your stomach.
Yeah, but so does fruit. Fruit is sugar, right?
Yeah, I love French fries and fruit. Sometimes I eat fruit on my French fries.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's to me the best thing you can do is try to figure out amounts. You can have French fries, have them in moderation. You got to have that work-life balance, and that it includes nutrition.
Once a day, French fries once a day. Wait, that's too much.
Potentially. I mean, if it just depends on how they fit into everything else you're eating. If you're hitting your protein numbers and your fat numbers aren't out of whack, because really the problem with French fries is going to be the fat content and the way that they're prepared. If you put cut up some potatoes into fry shape and put them in the oven, they're not so bad for you. It's just a potato.
I like the little discs when you slice up a potato into the little disc and you put it in there and it becomes little potato medallions, and you just put the right spices on them, some rosemary,
put some healthy fats on it. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's amazing. So you guys, tell me about how you guys met, when you met, and what it's like owning a business and being in a relationship.
We met Tinder. Sherry swiped on me. No, no. We actually we met in the gym. She was a member of the gym. I was going through a separation. We were both not separate. I wasn't married. I was engaged at the time. And that person and I were in the process of separating. And Sherry had shared that she and her husband had been through a separation. I was like, oh, well, how did you guys get back together? How did that work? And so we just started talking, and over time, of talking, we realized we had a lot in common. I didn't realize how toxic Sherry's relationship was at the time. And I didn't even realize how toxic my relationship that I was trying to save was. And, over months and months of, kind of becoming friendship, we kind of discovered that there was a lot more than just friendship there. It's so odd because we grew up completely different. Sherry grew up Mormon. I grew up Catholic. I'm from Colorado. She's from Texas. but we are such similar people.
It's crazy.
The whole opposite attract thing that's not us. Like we're very, very similar, grew up completely different size families, different, educations, different, she had a kid when she was 19. I was a complete dipshit till I was like 33. So we met here, and the best thing that ever happened to me was that interaction.
I agree.
How is it being in business together, and how do you guys manage that? Because sometimes, relationships are great, but the trust necessary and then developing a rhythm and being in that relationship is, in that business relationship is very hard.
Yeah.
I think we work very well together.
But it's a challenge.
Sometimes.
I mean, so in the beginning, one of the things that Sherry talks about a lot in our relationship is in her previous relationship, she always felt like the person was against her and they were potentially upset if she had success. Because
Tell me what you meant, Sherry.
Just, I don't know. I felt like he was there. He was just not on my side is how I put it. Just never on my side, nothing supportive. If there was something that was going on with work, and I would bring it to him, it was always, well, what are you? Yes, I always look at myself first, but it's my fault. Everything was always my fault. Or any success I had, throwing out the iPhone. I had to beg to get an iPhone. So it was just, I always felt like he was against me. He had the nicer things. Everything was for him. Nothing was for me. I don't know. It just not on my side.
And with us, it's not like that at all. Like any successes or failures we share together. But it took some time of learning that like we're in this together and that we're not against each other. Like it's not, if we have a disagreement, like if I want to rename the gym something and she doesn't, well, we got to work through that. It's not, I make the rules and you follow it. Like we're in this together. So we got to eventually come to some common ground.
We both have our strengths and weaknesses. And I think we kind of.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, man, the biggest challenge for me, because I did this alone for a long time. Like my previous fiance was an employee of the gym. She was not a part of the gym in terms of like running any of it. And I did everything. And it has been the biggest challenge since Sherry left her job to work here full time to let anything go, because I'm afraid like if I let someone else do it, I'm going to have to redo it anyway. So I may as well just do it. But when you have someone super capable like Sherry is, and you start letting these things go and she does a better job than you would have done at it anyway, it becomes a little easier to let things go and trust that, hey, I don't have to stress about that. Like she can handle it. In fact, we get in arguments because she'll say, hey, read this email. What do you think? I'm like, I don't want to read it. I got 10 other things I'm thinking about. Like you have it. I know what you write is great. You don't have to show me everything, get my approval. Like you got it. And that's probably 5 out of 6 fights we get into or something like that where I'm kind of being a dick.
Just proof it. That's all I want.
Like,
just
I don't want to.
it.
You got it. Like I'm thinking of something else. But it's a challenge, man.
Do you guys work out together?
Sometimes.
It's not usually. It's not a consistent thing where every day you guys
become less. She hasn't suffered through the last couple of years physically as much as I have. I've really been struggling with stress. And one of the hard things with stress is the type of high intensity exercise we do here. When you're really stressed out, it's really hard to perform well. Sherry is very, very, very fit, especially for her age group. Like she's very, very fit. And so when she's lapping me over and over again, it's not demoralizing, but a little bit it is. So it's been challenging for me to be in a good mood when we're training together, and I don't want to bring her down. So, I mean, Sherry she takes class. If you came to our gym, you'll see her at 12:15 most days with the class. And then when I'm not, too overly stressed, I'll take a class as well. Or sometimes I'll train. We have, a gym in the garage as well. Sometimes I'll run up to the garage and do something. But the last couple of years have been really challenging for me in my personal, fitness and endeavors.
Gotcha. What is it like? I guess, I really know how to put it. What is it like in terms of like you guys' like social life? Like, how do you guys manage everything? You're in a business 70 hours a week, and then how do you find time? And what do you find time doing? Is it you can go out every weekend, or do you have like a special day once a month or twice a month? What's the realistic expectations you guys have for that?
Date night is very important to us. So I would say Saturday nights are our date nights. Either go pick something up, go out to dinner. Pretty much is all we do. We don't really do a lot of other things right
And
now.
never inside the perimeter because Justin's afraid.
Well, not never. Just 99% of the no.
Yeah.
Well, it's out here, man. Everything's out here. There's no reason to go anywhere else. I mean, we have the restaurants out here are amazing. There's just no reason to go anywhere else. But yeah, for us, it's like our social circle, being owners of the gym, it used to be kind of wide, and then we realized that we started becoming too close to people, and the lines of friendship and clientele started to get really blurred. And then people start to think that, they have input on the way the business should be run and all these different things. And then that's a recipe for disaster. So we've actually had to kind of pull back any kind of personal relationships that we've had with clients. So for us, it's like we really are each other's best friend. We spend probably 98% of the time we have together. We do work out together a fair amount. We do.
Yeah, we do.
A lot. But yeah, we just spend time together all the time. Like there's not our social life. I don't drink. So going out to bars, that kind of thing is not something that I do. It really is.
Beer? Or do you ever have beer? How often do you have beer? You never have beer.
I haven't had a drink. There's a lot of alcoholism in my family. So I don't, so I avoid that stuff. I can't remember the last time I had an alcoholic drink. I mean, it's been a very, very long time. I just always felt like crap. And I don't like the taste of it. Where Sherry loves the taste of wine. So she'll have wine on occasion. But yeah, date night, essentially dinner. We're both kind of foodies.
Yeah.
So that's what we like to do. And that's why we want to have that balance too. Like you can eat a balanced diet throughout the week. And as long as you're not a complete idiot on the weekends, you won't ruin it. Mm-hmm. But I'm okay with a little bit of extra body fat and being able to have a nice night with my wife, not my daughter. It's creepy.
Where did that come
from? My wife.
Creepy. Yeah. Creepy. Especially, how did that happen? Because Sherry's a year older than you?
No, she's younger.
You're younger than him?
Yeah. A year and a half younger.
Yeah, I'm the older one.
Well, you didn't have a kid a year and a half,
Yeah.
I don't think you did. Did you?
No, I hope not.
I think he hasn't.
Yeah, better not.
I know.
Top 5 restaurants in Alpharetta, since you're educating me and you guys love Alpharetta. Yeah. There's no reason to leave Alpharetta. So I'm staying there. I'm there 5 days. I got to eat dinner every day for a week.
Roomy's Kitchen in Avalon, and they have that at down in Sandy Springs. No, it's not Sandy Springs. It's like Buckhead, I think. They have one in the perimeter.
I'm pretty sure it's Sandy Springs,
but it's in the perimeter.
Yeah.
So Roomy's Kitchen. It's Mediterranean food. It's really, really good.
Yeah, Secreto a lot.
It's a local kind of spot near us. They have one of those also in Brookhaven.
Their brunch is really good there in Brookhaven.
There's one there. Where else do we go a lot?
So we do a lot of brunch too. So it's either date night on Saturday or it would be brunch on Sunday.
Milton's is like a really great place, kind of like an old farmhouse style. Really great brunch there. Really, really good dinner. They do these big, like once a month, they'll do these farm style dinners where they have this big long table. Super expensive. It's like $200 a ticket, but you get wine and whatever, and then appetizers. Then everyone sits down at this table and you bring out these huge portions, and you're sitting next to people you don't know, and you kind of just share these portions. It's really, really good, really cool experience. So that's 3. A Little Alley Steakhouse in Roswell. It's fantastic. Okay. They have one of those down kind of near Lenox Mall as well.
All right.
So there's one over there. We've got one more. Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A.
I had a lot of Chick-fil-A. So if you're ever in Alpharetta, check out Chick-fil-A. You may not have heard.
Did you really just do that?
Chick-fil-A is great.
You ruined it. You had 4 good picks, and you threw in Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A is number 1. Should be.
So another place we've been going on the weekends for a little brunch.
Thank you, Sherry.
Cheat meal would be BB Bagels. Is that what it is?
Yeah. It's on this little bagel spot.
Really good.
It's like a almost looks like a mobile home, and the line's out the door.
Yeah.
They just make these killer bagel breakfast sandwiches that are just
so good.
And they're assholes there. Like the girl that takes your order. It's like you're in New York City. They're just jerks, but it's worth it.
We keep going.
Yeah. You went to a New York style restaurant and you expected to be treated how?
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know what you were expecting. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
It's like going to there's shops. They're great people. I really like these people, but all the delis and stuff I attend, every deli is a true deli, and everybody treats you like you're in in the East Side, or if you're you're in Brooklyn, and you're in the way. This is how we make the sandwich. Mm-hmm. If you make it too many changes, the sandwich will be annoying. You can leave. It's that kind of a situation. Fitness world and the relationships and friendships took a line. Hold on. Tubble wubs. Took a long time to learn that you can't out-train a bad diet. I cut a lot of crap and lots of alcohol out. Best decision I've made is to be consistent and to feel good.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you a quick example. So Sherry, we started kind of a habit, and Sherry would every night we would watch Netflix or whatever, and she would have a glass of wine, 1 or 2 chocolate chip cookies from Whole Foods, and some chocolates. And we decided, hey, let's start tracking our food a little bit just to kind of see where we're at, make sure she's getting enough protein, etc. When we started tracking that, she was taking an extra 2,000 calories every single day just from that little snack at night.
Well, that and then my coffee too. So I was doing
400 calories worth of creamer in it.
The creamer.
And so that's 2,400 calories right there. I mean, you can put on a substantial
amount of fat.
Yeah.
Just off of that. You can also, the other things that are in there chemically, what they do to your system. Did you guys see the sugar documentary?
Yeah. Dude,
I mean, it was extreme. I understand where you're going with that. And a lot of it was hype. And, we don't know, as he was pointing out, the consultants and the people who were writing the reports for the other companies, we don't know who those people were working for. We also don't know who he was working for, not to be a conspiracy theorist. But, obviously he had an agenda. Obviously, I've consumed more sugar than most people. As a kid, I used to actually drink sugar. I used to drink sugar drinks. Just take Kool-Aid and make the Kool-Aid like 50% sugar, 50% Kool-Aid, and then shake it up until it became a syrup and then pour it down your throat. And then, I used to eat sugar and butter sandwiches. I was addicted to Flintstone vitamins. I ate so many Flintstone vitamins one time. I got diarrhea and like a crackhead. Literally went back and ate more vitamins.
Yeah.
Like
I used to eat so much pineapple that I would get an acid burn in my mouth, and I would keep eating pineapple because I love how it tastes so much. And I'm like, it hurts, and I couldn't stop.
No, pineapple has superpowers, especially when you put the syrup in it. Pineapple is used on Easter Island, that in the same island chain, I believe, as the Easter Islands, because the rain and the water are somehow contaminated, or they have such a basic content that you need something that's acidic and sweet to counter. I'm not sure it's that exact island, but they mix pineapples with the water because the water is nearly undrinkable without it.
It's interesting.
Yeah. So pineapples they have superpowers. It's considered a superfood, I think, somewhere.
Yeah. Dude, honestly, though, when it comes to that whole natural versus unnatural sugars, I think if people stopped looking at the little stuff and focused on the big things, like the amounts of foods they're eating, getting enough protein in, trying to keep your food quality good. Of course, you don't want everything that's processed, but if they focused on the big picture versus all the little dumb stuff, that has, this sweetener in it, that's bad for you. This bad for you. Bro, you've eaten 5 grams of protein today. Why do you care how much artificial sugar in that drink? Focus on the big things. And then once you have those things in line, focus on the little things.
I focus on big things like big boxes of honeycomb cereal.
I love cereal.
Big boxes of Captain Crunch, which is made, by the way, I think out of fiberglass.
Yeah, and will destroy your mouth as well. Just like
yeah. Don't worry about the sugar. Worry about the fact that you will not be able to drink or eat anything for 4 days. Yep. I love Captain Crunch, especially the Crunch Berry. Awesome. Oh God, I could grind it up and snort it. Oh man. Everybody, listen. If you're watching on Twitch, you're able to host this video, meaning you go to the box that has an arrow pointing up, click that, go down to the bottom of it, you click host, and then you're sharing it with all your friends. You could also create a link, paste it on any of your social media, and tell people to come over and hang out. After the show, I think I might do a set. If anybody loves music and likes to hear music, I know Justin is a huge hip hop fan. Sherry, what's your favorite kind of music? You don't really listen to hip hop.
I do, actually. I listen to everything.
Dude. Oh, really?
No, dude. She's
everything except for
dude. When I go in to listen to the shower, it's like, another Justin Bieber song is on, or some song. Any song you hear on the dumbest radio station right now, Sherry knows all the words to it. I don't understand how. No, I don't get it.
I listen to everything. In the car right now, it's the 70s. What is it? Yeah. 70s on 7.
She loves the Carpenters.
Not even a
Carpenters are great. I can't hate the Carpenters. Carpenters incredible. Structure wise and layout. Their writing they're great. I can't listen to them in back to back, of course. You know, like, you know,
Have
I'm gonna just
the same
I'm
experience.
gonna drive to Justin's gym, listening
Yeah.
to the Carpenters for 35 minutes. That's not happening.
Yeah, so she didn't have the same experience growing up on the mean streets of Colorado Springs like I did. You know, you had to listen to Eazy-E and
Growing
stuff
up, I
like
listened
that
to
growing
country,
up.
and I would not listen to country today. No way.
That's because country is pop music. Edward Music, Alexis G. Richardson, or Alex G. Richardson, T Underground. What's up? Awilo again. I think Awilo rejoined. He might have been cut off by the interwebs. Bodybuilding. Have either of you or both of you competed on any level in fitness or bodybuilding?
No. I had a goal at one point in my early 30s, like right when I was 30, I wanted to do it. I don't have the genetics for it. And I don't have the dedication, the drive. Like I can't force myself to eat the same thing over and over again and wake up and do. I mean, the bodybuilders, what they do is incredible. I can't do it. Like, and I don't know. I gave up pretty quickly on it. Sherry has genetics. She would be actually a pretty fantastic bodybuilder, but I don't want her to be miserable. You know?
Yeah, the diet thing. I don't know that I could do that.
Dude, for us, fitness and health, it should be like something that enhances your life. I'm not going to generalize about bodybuilding or bodybuilders, but I think that becomes, again, so constrictive and things that you can do that it doesn't necessarily enhance a good quality life or lifestyle, depending on how deep you get into it.
Got you. What about competitive on a CrossFit level?
Same.
What about
same? It's terrible for you. It's absolutely terrible for you because all you're doing is beating your body up over and over and over again and kind of recovering and then beating yourself up over. It's supposed to be something that you have a long, healthy life, not something where you're constantly having to do all these recovery techniques just to make it in the gym the next day. So I think anything when you get to its highest level, like the NFL, they've shown that playing in the NFL takes X amount of years off your lifespan. It's the same thing with bodybuilding. It's the same thing with competitive CrossFit. All of that, anything you do when you take it to an extreme is just not good.
A lot of time too.
Yeah, competitive eating, same thing.
It's a way of life.
Yeah.
I don't know, that lady who eats like 700 hot dogs at a time. She seems to be doing well. I've never seen her fat.
I don't think those guys are going to last a long time. I bet you.
Not the big guys. I'm talking about the lady that
the guy that wins the hot dog every year. He's a little guy. He's not a huge guy, but he can't be healthy. There's no way. You never know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Dude, think about it though. Look at it this way. Those people, I don't know what kind of preparation is involved in it. I don't know if they're do like sprints, like where they eat an entire loaf of bread and then, they come home at lunch and they eat like 3 packs of hot dogs, or if there's no prep involved and they are just that hardcore that it's just a mind over matter thing. Because some of the people, the most competitive people, aren't the guy that's like 300 pounds. It's the person who weighs 110 pounds who just walks in and you're just like what are you gonna eat? Are you gonna eat half a pack?
Yeah, no, they crush it. Yeah,
there's I don't like to use the term Asian because it's very non-specific and it creates kind of a monolithic perspective of people of that descent, of Eastern descent. There's a lady, I'm not sure where she's from, if it's Korea or China or Japan, but she literally, like, when they see her coming, like you could see the dude's faces, like they're like, oh,
yeah,
like, like I got this, man. No, you don't have it. I have it. And it's like this huge black dude, and he was like, oh, I got it. And then she showed up, and you just saw on his face, like,
yeah,
I should just leave. They know what's going down.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just the hot dogs they probably have been sitting there for like an hour because they have to cook hundreds of them to be ready.
I didn't even think about that part. It's just a soggy bread. Ugh.
So it's recycled meat from whatever they decide to ground up until it's a paste and make it to a hot dog, combined with Wonder Bread, which is no comment on Wonder Bread, and then it's soggy, and then they hand it over to you on a plate, like a giant plate, and you got to smash everything on that plate, which is not going to be hot, and it doesn't have any ketchup, doesn't have any mustard, no relish, no kraut, no onions, no nothing.
Well, they're not doing it for the enjoyment. It's,
Yeah. Sometimes they don't even have bread. I've seen the ones where they just do hot dogs.
Oh.
Yeah. Hundreds of hot dogs just going down. Nitrate City, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pac-Man.
For a long life, for sure.
Oh yeah, no, you probably. I'm sure somewhere somebody has passed out and gone to some form of shock where they didn't wake up until the next day after they ate like 100
I mean,
hot dogs.
I'll tell you, I bet you, a lot of these bodybuilders that are passing away lately, I would bet that has less to do with any kind of anabolics they're using and more with their fluctuations in body weight and kind of the way they eat and how big their body is in the off season and
I've
how
been reading.
their organs can, how hard it is for your heart to pump 300 something pounds of body weight, like in your 5'7".
Yeah, because most of those guys are way shorter than I am.
Yeah, they're
I'm
tiny.
6'2", 6'3", and they're huge. And then the other thing I've noticed is that you have to dry out to get
and that stuff's really dangerous.
dehydrated.
Yeah,
That's once your body gets dehydrated past a certain point, it begins to develop multitudes of problems. I've read. I'm not an expert. I've also read.
I'm not either. But.
Yeah, I've also read that the stress not just caused from the dehydration. Like you said, the fluctuation is a whole nother thing, but the stress that's caused from damn it, what was I gonna say? There's something else that's a part of that process that's supposed to be. It's a low body fat. It's a low body fat. When you reduce body fat past 3%, something happens to your body. And these are all rumors. Like I'm not saying anybody do it. Look, I get a lot of entertainment from bodybuilders being online, mostly female bodybuilders.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's neither here nor there. But what is the reality is that when you got people dying at age 48 or 50 because they maintain that,
they look like they're in great shape.
Well, they maintain, but the other thing is they maintain that that low body fat, super dehydrated look sometimes, like endlessly. Like you can't walk around like that all the time. I don't know. Somebody else would know. Somebody else who's an expert would know.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't seem to be doable.
Yeah. Anybody who's out there on Twitch, on Instagram or Facebook, if you join the conversation on Twitch, it's a little bit better of a look. The audio's a little bit better. And you can also reach Miss JUK, who has a link for you if you would like to directly ask a question to Justin or Sherry. And by the way, please, Miss JUK, put the link for their gym back in the chat. So people who might want to come up, try the gym, explore it, bring your friends, learn about CrossFit and about the compound movements and everything. And maybe you want to try CrossFit. Maybe it's something that you'll slip and fall into and never come out of. Tell me something. There's also the social aspect of CrossFit, which kind of hinted towards when you said people who develop relationships and friendships with you guys, and then they want to tell you how to run your gym.
Yeah,
I know I've definitely been guilty, not of that, but like at my gym, as they've made changes over the years, been like, yo, why'd you get rid of that machine?
Yeah,
and hey, what would you like us to change about the gym? I'm like, yo, get this kind of rack. Or bring back the quad machine, or you had a front press machine, and I don't want to tell somebody how to run their business, but at the point that I'm the customer, sometimes I come in and I'm like, yo, I need this resource, or I'd like to have this resource. Is that possible? Tell me from your perspective as a gym owner, how inappropriate is that?
So usually any business owner that makes a decision, they're not making it to impact their business negatively, I would guess. So they're probably thinking about the big picture versus you. So maybe, for example, I'll give CrossFit as a good example. Like there's a machine we have that a lot of gyms have. It's called the GHD. That you can do 2 or 3 exercises on it. They're really not great exercises, to be honest. And most of the gyms that have them, they're used as like bag holders or protein cup holders or water holders. They just sit and take up space. So every so often I'll be like, hey, how come we don't have a GHD in here? I'm like, because we did, and nobody ever used it. And it just took up space, and it's ugly, and there's no reason to have it. And we don't have space for it. Is it beneficial piece of equipment? Absolutely. Could it help somebody, get a little bit stronger core or, some hamstring development, something? Of course it could. But for our 148 of our 150 members, that piece of equipment doesn't matter. Right. So I don't think it's inappropriate to voice things that you might like, but you have to understand that whatever decision that business owner is making probably comes from some area of expertise and some frame of knowledge of the big community that they're dealing with.
Sure. How important are the coaches to the gym process, the trainers, and how hard is that to manage?
Why don't you take this one?
It's very, very important, and it's very hard to manage sometimes. Sometimes you make some hires and they do not turn out very well. Yeah, coaches are really important. So our main goal is that our coaches are on the same page as we are. So we have the coaches meetings, our programming. They provide us with coaches notes, and we want all of our coaches making sure, again, they're on the same page and that we're teaching the same content. So if you come in the morning, you're getting the same exact experience as if you come in the evening, same teaching, different delivery. We all have different personalities, but we want that experience. So we're trying to preserve that class experience. So finding good staff that basically
it's really challenging
are
because
on board.
It's hard. It's like any other profession. I think if you bring somebody in with experience, they kind of already know the way they want to do things. And we have a way that we want to do things. And a lot of times those don't mesh, right? We want you to do it this way. Well, I do it this way. It's like, okay, well, this is my business. I want you to lead the class this way. I want you to start the class this way, end the class this way. It's the way it is. When you go into McDonald's, you don't offer them a Whopper, right? Well, but I made Whoppers at Burger King. That's great. We have Big Macs here. So it's really, really tough to find the right person and somebody that you can trust with your business. I mean, we had a really bad coach late, all through last year who we didn't realize was kind of working behind us, behind the scenes, behind our backs against us. And it was a really big learning moment for us because the goal of owning a business is to own the business and not have to be in it forever. But with our type of gym, I think you kind of do have to be in it forever. You're never going to really be hands off because as we tried to explore potentially not being here as much, well, now somebody else is the face of your gym. And when they decide that you're the bad guy and they don't like you anymore, they can, badmouth you or kind of take clients on a journey that isn't necessarily accurate or where they want to go. So I think that having the correct staff for a place like this, dude, the coach brings that energy. They do everything here. It's the most important role. I would say even potentially more important than the clients. Because they're the ones that are driving the experience. It's hard to find good ones.
Hard to maintain.
Are nothing, by the way.
The vibration plates.
I've never heard of positive, any kind of real scientific data that works in any way.
What do they do? I don't even know what that is. I mean, when you say vibration plate, I'm thinking a plate like that you put on a barbell.
Stand on a thing and it moves. Back in the old days when they had those, see the old like black and white where they put the straps on the ladies and it just vibrated them. I don't know. There's just not a lot to it. Like anything that seems like a fad probably is.
And you can't vibrate. You can't vibrate fat off your body, huh? No, the belt thing from like Gilligan's Island era didn't work.
No, you can't spot reduce either. Like, sorry, ladies, as soon as you start losing body fat, your boobs are probably going to go away first, and your butt's probably going to be next. And where you want it to go is probably going to be the last place that it goes away from. It's just your body works the way it wants to work,
and everyone's different.
Well, it is what it is. What's the biggest myth? Like people think that the funniest thing I think I heard is when I was working on a TV show, we were talking one day. I think I may have told you this, Justin. Somebody said, I just need to I'm just getting to a certain weight so I can turn this fat into muscle. Yeah, which I started laughing at them. And then my friends, the producer, got mad at me because I laughed at them. And I was like, it's not my fault. I'm laughing at you. Yeah. What you just said is ridiculous. That's not, they're two different tissue types.
You can't transform one type of tissue into something else. That's not how it works. You build muscle by exercising, breaking down your muscle, eating enough amino acids, which come from protein, in order to rebuild that muscle. You burn fat through exercise. When you burn your fat away, all of a sudden the muscle that's underneath is there. Every single human on earth has abs. They're just hidden with body fat. So yeah, dude, there's so many misconceptions on what exercise is. Like, don't eat after 7 o'clock or you'll turn into a gremlin or whatever, no carbs at this time. And none of that stuff is really true, more than likely. Yeah, dude, there's so many misconceptions out there.
And how much of the fight in your business? I mean, you're a little bit different. You're not a box gym. You don't rely on equipment. You don't rely on trainers. Mm-hmm. Most people don't come in with goals. It's something completely different. Right. So what are most of the myths or the preconceptions or the goals that people come in with?
I think the big one is women being afraid to get bulky. That's one of the big ones I hear a lot. Or thinking that there's going to be like a 12-week or 6-week or however long process of exercise, and then you'll look the way you want to look. Whereas exercise is forever.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, there's so many studies out there that have shown that the longer that you can have some degree of muscle mass, your bone density will be better. Because when old people die, generally, it's because they fall down. And when old people fall down, they break, and then they're in the hospital and bad things happen. But if you are training and putting your body under stress through exercise, especially the type of training that we do, you're going to keep that bone density higher. You're going to keep some degree of muscle so you can get off the couch. You're not falling down because you aren't strong enough to get into the shower. That's the kind of stuff I think that's really important. But as far
Unless
as
you get really old and really brittle, at which point, like,
that's what happens if you don't stop training. That doesn't happen. I mean, it does. Dude, we're all going to die. We're all going to get old and brittle, right?
Sherry looked at me like, "Why would you tell people that?"
But it doesn't. It doesn't have to happen. I'm telling you. Same thing. Like as you get older, people should really look into their hormone profiles, especially men. And if you're not potentially supplementing your testosterone to get it back to optimal levels, I think you're doing a huge disservice to yourself as a male, because testosterone drives everything.
And here's a question for you: how dangerous is substitute? Because your doctor will see.
I've seen almost zero. I don't know anybody. I know so many people that have been on hormone. So replacement levels are different than bodybuilding levels. They're two different things, right? It's like taking enough to have as much testosterone as you had when you were like 18 years old versus taking an astronomical amount to become a superhero. So, and women, the same thing. Like women's hormones go nuts as they get older. So women need a little bit of testosterone. They need to look at where their estrogen levels are at, their progesterone, all that stuff. Like if you can get that stuff in order, if that stuff's going wacky, dude, it doesn't matter how much you exercise or how you're eating, your body's not going to cooperate.
Who do you take those profiles to? Where do you get those profiles from?
Go and get blood work done. There's a lot of hormone replacement clinics. The place I go to is up in Buford. You go and get your blood test done, and they'll look at your numbers. And when I first got tested, my testosterone, so what they would say is normal for a male is somewhere between 450 and 850, which is like a huge range. At 450, I feel terrible. At 850, I feel pretty good. At 1,000, I feel really good. I was like 186, and I was crying I lived in Oregon at the time. I was crying every day. I was depressed. I didn't want to leave the house. And then as soon as I got my hormone levels back up in like that 700-800 range, felt pretty damn good. And that's something that every human, your hormones go down, and that's part of the aging process. But that's something that through science you can combat. And I don't know why more people look at it as like, well, none of us are competing in the Olympics. It's not cheating. Like living a higher quality life isn't cheating. I don't understand it.
Especially if science.
Yeah, if you have a doctor looking at it and I get blood tests more than the average guy. I get blood tests every 3 months. I know everything that's going on in my body. I know, I don't understand it. I think that's one of the things that people are really, same thing, menopause stuff. You got to get that stuff taken care of, because it's just all of a sudden now women can't put on muscle anymore. Then they start becoming weaker. And that's really, to be honest, man, that's my passion, is getting people. The guys in here that we have a guy that's 65 years old. He had a stroke 6 months ago, or maybe he was 9 months.
Yeah, it's
within the last year. The guy is in here doing everything he did exactly like he did before. Nothing happened. He was in the hospital for a while and it was touch and go, but he's been keeping up with his fitness so well that his body adapted to that, catastrophic event that he had, and now he's back to normal. And I'm not saying that we did that for him, but I guarantee you we didn't hurt what happened to him. It was a definite pro.
Somebody walk in behind you? Your camera was vibrating. Did you guys have an earthquake up there?
I'm probably just getting excited.
I was like, what? I was like, it's getting unstable up there. Somebody asked a question about pre-workout, vitamins and supplements, and maybe you guys should address those.
So
have 3 separate things.
I'll let Sherry.
So I don't use pre-workout. The only supplements I take are protein supplements, because it's almost impossible for me to hit the 150 grams that I need every day.
There's no protein in that wine and those cookies?
There's not.
Well, those are gone.
Those are gone, actually. Those are gone, and only 2 tablespoons of creamer. So, protein is pretty much the only supplement I do, and creatine. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I do BCAAs, but it's a drink that I drink with salt too. Salt is very important.
Any BCAA recommendations? Because there's so many of those and so many aminos out on the market. What good versus bad? Do you have a preference?
Are you hitting what do you weigh?
I weigh 216 now.
Okay, so you probably should be hitting at least 200 grams of protein a day. Are you getting that amount in?
Probably, if not more.
Okay, that's
I
good.
because I right now, because I remember I had that surgery where I had the thing on my abs, so I had that pulled out, and for a minute I was like, I'm not doing anything until I figure out what's causing this. I'm gonna go do my physical and get my blood work done tomorrow. Then I'm gonna make some changes.
But I would say if you're not hitting things like a right amount of protein, you shouldn't even be looking at supplements. Why? It doesn't make any sense. It's like, hey, my car is only running on 4 cylinders, but I'm going to put the super nice gas in it, even though the other 4 cylinders aren't running.
Why are you making fun of me? I just got my engine replaced, and I was putting nice
good,
gas
though.
in it because I needed to keep my car running. You know what I'm saying? It just
What I'm saying is
bad.
People look at something like BCAAs as this quick fix, this magic shot.
Absolutely not. No, it's something. It's something in addendum, in addition to what you're already doing and trying to eat the correct diet. I usually, for the record, when I'm like when you see me get up at 5 a.m. and go to the gym. Before I go to the gym, I at least have some baby rice and 6 eggs raw, or I'll drink a whole egg white container. Yeah. Then I'll come back. I'll eat salmon and eggs, which is smoked salmon scrambled in some eggs with some cheese. And then I'll usually, if I'm going to work, hopefully that's early enough that I can do that. If I'm going to work, I eat, because they give us breakfast when you're on film sets. When I'm on a engineering job, you're on your own. I'll do their breakfast. I'll take a protein bar, hopefully something with not too much sugar. I'll eat that in between. We'll have lunch. I'll eat another protein bar, and I'll try to have a portable milkshake device, like a little blender. I'll have like a scoop of protein, and then I'll drink like a heavy protein and work out. So if I can get up early enough and work out, I'll do a short full body workout in the morning. I'll do something more focused at night. Yeah. And I have to eat enough and drink enough protein and carbs to offset that. Otherwise, I literally will go down to like 205 pounds in like a week and a half.
Yeah, I mean, I think, just it's everything in life, man. Like you got to hit the big stuff first. And if you are hitting the big stuff, like your protein, your carb, your fats, that's great. And then you can start looking at like, well, maybe I should add this in, or maybe I should take some BCAAs. To be honest, man, if you're getting the right amount of grams of protein in a day, you probably don't even need BCAAs. It's probably not going to help you.
They taste good when you mix them with a fizzy drink, though.
That's why I drink it.
Yeah, it's more of a, hey, I'm drinking this drink because I'm thirsty, and that just so happens that there's some other beneficial things in it. But it's not
absolutely.
She's taking.
I know a lot of
got to take this.
Yeah.
I know a lot of bodybuilders that mix their BCAAs with their water, so they drink their water faster because they drink like 2-3 gallons of water sometimes in the course of a day.
Yeah, I think pre-workout, man. I don't think you need it. I think caffeine's fine if you want to take some caffeine before. I don't like the way I feel when I'm all amped up. What we do is a little bit different though in here, where you don't really want your heart rate to get out of control because it's going to get up anyway.
Yeah,
you don't want to feel jittery. You don't want that kind of tingly feeling either. I just think a lot of the stat stuff, man, honestly, is marketing and unnecessary. I mean, we sell supplements here in the gym, but it's like 5 things. We do have a pre-workout here. We do have a protein. We do have creatine. We do have BCAAs. But I just don't think you need that stuff. Really
Tubba Wubbs wants to know when he should get, or at what point in time he should get his levels looked at.
There's some really easy things to look at. Sex drive's number 1. Sex drive's kind of down, then probably something going on. If you're gaining body fat in your midsection or especially in your chest, probably something going on. If you're having trouble sleeping, probably something going on. The big thing for me was when I was low, when I woke up in the morning, I didn't have an erection, and that was for years. And I'm in my early 30s when this started happening. I guess I'm just getting older. It's the way it goes. As soon as those levels got back to normal, that started happening again. Gotcha. So there's these quality of life things that you should look for, like being tired, being overly sore all the time, not being able to recover from exercise potentially. But dude, your body tells you, like, if your sex drive is off, there's something going on. Your body is giving you a sign like, hey, like, there's something wrong here because, as a male, you're supposed to have X amount of sex drive. Like, you're supposed to want to procreate and do these things. And if your hormones are off, would do that. And long story short, I would say when men start to get, unless you're exhibiting those signs earlier, like if you're in your mid-20s and you're exhibiting some weird signs, you might want to get looked at. But I would say probably somewhere between 30 and 35 years old, I would suggest somebody get blood work done just to see where they're at. And if you can optimize those levels, even if you're like in the acceptable range, if you're in the low end of acceptable, well, that's still shitty.
Yeah. Yeah. And the process usually is your doctor could do a series of blood tests. There's 2 testosterone tests, I believe, that you can take, and then there's a general hormone thing that they give you. Mine comes out in a phone book, and I have to create a PDF if I want to share it with somebody so I can get ideas of how I need to adjust my eating. But it's I hate to say this, but your health is a job, and if you're not on your job, then you're never going to feel right, and it's going to affect you. And the best place you can be, and you guys are a good example of this, is where, and it's hard, where a partnership happens in terms of, being able to work out and maintain your health. The thing is, one person is for a while going to drag the other person. It's like you kind of have to be on the same level or close to the same level for that to really work out. You can't be like, oh, I don't like working out, and go for a hike, and the person's like, ooh, I'm an hour and a half in, I'm tired, can we go back? Like, it's not going to be like, I can't possibly lift as much as you. You have to come up with a rhythm and a system. I mean, you guys, Sherry obviously lifts more than you.
She actually does.
I hate to always bust Justin's balls, but it's sometimes we go a few weeks without talking, and it just lines up. It's like being constipated. I just have like a laundry list of stuff that I need to insult him with, and he's like, yo, I got clients coming at the gym. I was like, just a second, I got 5 more insults. Just everybody can wait. Tell them to do their warm-ups. It's very tough if somebody's not on the same level and doesn't have the same goals. I think, the stigma thing is really a hard thing. Like, people like, I don't want to look like a man. I was like, well, you know what? The women who look best in jeans and dresses
absolutely
are all athletic women. The women who look like they are a stick are literally just a hanger that walks across the stage.
I mean, I want a woman with curves, and curves generally is either body fat or muscle. And I prefer the muscle to the body fat.
Well, the body fat does, it's a thing. Hold on, man, with this back pain, it's hard to walk some days, but I know I have to lose some of this weight. Got to try harder. That's Miss JUK. Miss JUK she's the moderator for all of my feeds.
But what you'll notice though with back pain is a lot of it's because you're not moving enough. A lot of times there's nothing wrong with your back. It's just you're sitting too much, you're too heavy. And a lot of that stuff will go away if you just move more. And I mean, talking like even something as dumb as like taking 10,000 steps a day, right? And then doing a little bit of exercise where you're overloading the muscle to some degree, and you'll see huge benefit. And then just not overeating, eating less. You put those simple things together, and all of a sudden you'll see changes. And wow, my back doesn't hurt anymore. Wow, my knees don't hurt anymore. I remember there was a point where my mom couldn't walk upstairs. And she lost, I think, 40 or 50 pounds. And all of a sudden walking upstairs was nothing anymore. And her knees never hurt. Nothing changed other than she lost some weight.
Shout out to Rallo. Yo, what's up, Raul? Sounds like Rallo. Rallo, in case you guys ever do decide to come inside the perimeter with the rest of us zombies and mercenaries and paramilitary groups, does a lot of outdoor events that you guys might want to check out. He follow him on his Instagram page. Sounds like Rallo. Him and his wife do these festivals. Sometimes they have these markets. And at the markets, they have really incredible Cuban coffee and Cuban pastries. Rallo actually not only DJs, but makes pastries. But it's a lot of work, so he doesn't do it all the time. But you guys might want to check him out. Artist Fresh is in the house. Edwards Music, again, is in the house. Guys, if you're on Twitch and you get Miss JUK and she can get you the link, you guys can jump online. What's important to I guess remember when you're getting ready to start something in a gym? Like, how do you explore that? Like, what do you guys suggest? Do you suggest that you go to kind of do the CrossFit training and truly try CrossFit? Do you think you start off at a gym? Like, there's some people that walking is their starting point right now. You know what I'm saying? And, if they went straight into CrossFit, it would, and we've both seen this, like people go to CrossFit, like my friend told me to go to CrossFit, and then they're laying in a pool of sweat on the floor, and that makes them never want to come back.
Correct. But that was the trainer did a bad job with that person. I always tell people that are new here, I mean, I don't know if you've ever been to Alpharetta, but it's a very, very large Indian community in Alpharetta. And a lot of the folks that we get through walk to the door have never done anything. Didn't play sports in high school. We get them with a jump rope. They've never even seen a jump rope before. There's a way to get these people moving and doing what you want them to do without destroying them, without destroying their spirit. Now, or exercise the type that we do, it is very difficult, and it does take a certain personality type. And there's some people that don't like to feel discomfort. Unfortunately, to make change in life, whether it's exercise or anything else, you got to feel discomfort. It is what
you guys heard that right.
Everything, right? Like the coach that really did some bad stuff to us, we're feeling a lot of discomfort, but we're making some positive changes within our business, and we're making sure that doesn't happen again. Like you adapt and then you move forward. If you never had any discomfort, how do you get any better? And that's everything.
You guys, are you guys still doing lectures at your gym? Like at one point in time, you were bringing in certain people who had specific focuses and talents. Do you guys still do those?
We haven't been doing that as much. It's tough because you forget that, 50% of the people that are members of our gym now weren't members 3 years ago. They didn't hear that nutrition talk, or they didn't hear that stuff. So, we definitely got to do a better job of doing that stuff again.
What about the competitions? You remember our mutual friend Jeremy used to do those competitions?
We don't do it. So we haven't done that in a while.
Since before COVID.
COVID really put a damper on those kind of things. And then, my focus in terms of CrossFit as a sport really changed over the last 3 to 4 years anyway, where that's just not something that interests me anymore. I just want
to go to the CrossFit games. Do you guys still do that?
We go and watch.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what
we don't go. We don't take part. We're not professional athletes. We're not going to go this year. We went to the Rogue Invitational, which was in Austin, Texas. It's I enjoy it. I watch a lot of content on YouTube dealing with, the professional side of sport, but it's a sport. What we do is completely different from that. The amount of volume that we train, the movements that we train, we're dealing with the general public on average, a 37-year-old male or female that's a, management level or higher professional that only has an hour a day to exercise, and then they got to go back to their family or their job. So they're just two separate things.
The time thing with CrossFit is interesting because it's a little, it's sort of restrictive. Like you've got to show up at class on time, and it forces you to kind of discipline yourself just a little bit and be there at a certain time and leave at a certain time. But it allows you to kind of constrict the amount of time that you put in. And exercise. Is that by design?
Yeah, I think again, it takes a certain personality type to want to, to adhere to rules of, hey, show up at this time, class ends at this time. But I promise you, if you just show up, we're going to take care of you. Mm-hmm. Just show up, make a gap in your schedule that from this. I mean, we have 8 classes a day, so it's not like we have early morning, we have late night. There's plenty of times that people could show up if it was important to them. You got to find that right person. I mean, it's not, what we do isn't for everybody. I think it could help everybody, but it's not for everybody necessarily.
That's amazing. That, just a temperament. I know some CrossFit places I've been like, oh, you're late. Do 50 burpees.
No, man. Like
10 burpees.
We're adults.
Yeah.
That's the most ridiculous thing. I never was a fan of that. That was around in the early days, and I think some gyms still kind of do that kind of thing. But dude, you're paying me to be here, and I'm going to punish you. And
punish or embarrass. It's not.
No, you're here to have a positive experience. Yeah. And hey, I got stuck in. Dude, here's what I've learned over the years. You have no idea what people are dealing with. So there was a lady that canceled class a couple weeks ago, and she'd done it like 2 days in a row. And I reached out, and I'm like, hey, is everything okay? Because she didn't cancel; she just didn't show up. And then found out that her friend had passed away. So if I was a dick to her and I'm like, hey, you missed class, like you're not responsible. We're going to charge you $10 for missing class. Dude, you just made that person's bad week that they're having even worse. And that's just not what we're here for.
What do you think about the social aspect? When I first met you, CrossFit was definitely like everybody's meeting at the bar. Everybody in the the club was dating each other or not dating each other, or it was a lot of interesting things going on. Is that still kind of part of the CrossFit thing, the social aspect of CrossFit, or has that dialed back some over the course of the year?
Sometimes a little different.
Yeah, I think it depends on the dynamic of the community that you're in. So in Alpharetta, it's a little bit expensive to live up here. So there's not a lot of 20-somethings that are single coming into our gym. We have some, but not a lot. You're going to find, the more going out and drinking and kind of that person slept with that person slept with that person. You're going to find that a little more in the gyms that are probably closer to like colleges and have a little younger crew in there. But that happens in regular gyms too. So I just think it depends on kind of where you're situated. We're in suburbia. But yeah, like Danny says, our night class might go to Chipotle and have a burrito or something after and then go home, because they all have responsibilities. They have lives. It's not like, you
got free time and you just have, you're looking for a social connection, and then that social connection continues to extend and extend and extend until it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I can understand that totally. Do you guys, do you miss Florida or Colorado?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
She misses
totally
Florida.
I hate Florida. It's so hot, humid there. When we got engaged in Florida, and the day before we got engaged, I was like feeling sick because it was so humid. I felt horrible. I'm like, how do you live in this
Story
place?
though is I was doing a competition in Miami, and I was the one doing the work, and he was the one that had to go sit in the car because he was just dying.
Yeah, it was so hot, and like in the room. Yeah, I don't. And then as far as Colorado goes, oh man, it's not my home anymore. This is my home now.
Alpharetta is home. I love it here. I think it's great.
And no beach.
I do.
Yeah.
Lake Lanier doesn't count.
Well, I've never been. I've lived here.
Paddleboarding.
Oh, I guess I have been there once.
Gone.
I've been there once.
It's kind of a manufactured beach in a way.
Yeah.
And then there's the creepy stories about it, and then there's
there's all dead people in there.
Hey, it's horrible. They drowned an entire town. A free town was down there. Yeah, but they fixed that problem, sadly. Tell me, Sherry, you were competing in CrossFit. You're saying you were at a
just like a local competition. Yeah, with my old gym.
And what was it? And what is that like? What is that entire process? Getting ready for it?
It's
doing it.
Yeah, I guess you go, if it's a partner workout, you go over the workouts with your partner. But prep is just basically doing classes. Not really anything extra.
Right. It doesn't become like a whole other thing that you
have
to
personally, no.
It can. And I honestly think that you're doing yourself a disservice if you get too involved. Dude, the people that are doing the things like the CrossFit Games, they were born with an athletic advantage, just like the guy that's playing in the NFL. Those guys have this, and gals have a genetic makeup that they're the genetic elite. And you start getting these people that fall in love with what we do, and they start doing more and more and more, to the point that they're hindering their personal lives. They're hindering their long-term fitness aspirations, because eventually you're going to probably burn out, and you're never going to really hit that goal that you want to hit. And it's so hard to tell people, like, dude, you just don't have it. Like, you're doing something bad for yourself, because you want to be, supportive, and you want people to succeed. But dude, yeah.
I mean, they're professionals.
CrossFit sport, I'm just so out on it. It's just not what we do.
Gotcha. Any other, I think people were asking, and I missed this, I let it slide by. I think you saw it too briefly. Somebody was asking about other supplements you should take, but like you said, unless your baselines are right, unless you're consuming the right amount, and what is the right ratio? And there's three things that you in terms of diet: carbs, fats, proteins. What is the right ratio?
Most people would do that like 30, 30, 40 is like pretty basic for most folks. But it depends on the person, man. You got to get with somebody that's qualified, and you have to take time eating X amount of those macronutrients and then playing with them to see what your body likes, because everybody's different. That's why something like keto isn't for everybody, or, high carbs, low fat isn't for everybody, because people react differently.
So 30, 40. What do those numbers even mean to somebody that's
that would be, 30% of your calories would come from fat, 30% of your calories would come from, I want to say protein or carbohydrate, and then the 40 is either protein or carbohydrate. I can't remember.
Protein's the highest.
Protein's the 40. Mm-hmm. So you would take, your body weight, and usually you want to be your lean body mass. Let's say your lean body mass is like 180 pounds. Well, 180 grams of protein, multiply that by 4. There's 4 there's 4 calories. Whatever that number is, that's that calorie number. That should be 40% of your total calorie intake.
And that's the percentage, your body weight times 4?
That would be, just for your protein. And that
just
you
for
want
your protein.
Lean body mass. You don't want to do your real weight, because if you weigh 280 pounds, but you have 180 grams of lean body mass, that's not the same thing. So protein and carbs have 4 calories per gram. Fat has 9 calories per gram. So that's the problem, is that people eat so much fats, and you're eating twice as many calories per gram of fat. And there's fats hidden in everything, especially like French fries.
Yeah.
Tons of fat hidden in there. It's not, so that's why French fries could potentially be bad.
Sorry, I had to wrench my hand. She said French fries. And
Yeah.
So it's just a big, dude, it's honestly a big math equation. And it's like, you need to find somebody that can kind of play that Tetris game with you. And it takes time to figure out, and then you've got to change it all the time.
And who do you find? How do you find that person? Who is that person?
We have 2 nutrition coaches here on staff that we utilize for that. But there's some really good, if you go on Instagram, there's tons of really, like Renaissance periodization is really great. There's a guy named Dr. Kashey, Kashey. He's really great. He focuses on a lot of lifestyle factors and like why we make decisions, because food is really just eating, but why do we make those decisions to eat, like the emotional side of things. He's really, really great for that kind of stuff. You just got to find somebody that you believe in, and then it's like exercise. It's a long-term exploration of, if I eat this combination of foods, I feel good. If I eat this combinations, I don't feel so good. If I eat this much, I put on weight. If I eat this much, weight comes off. There's no quick fix. You got to play with it.
It's all individual. You can't say, "Oh, I eat 2,500, grams of calories per day or whatever." It's individual. You can't. He's not going to eat the same as me. I'm not going to eat the same as you. Like it's all individual. So.
Got you. I was just curious, as a lot of people don't understand that there is a ratio or what those ratios are. Like there's a lot of people don't know. A protein, sure, that chicken, meat, fish. Right. A carb. What's a carb? Is that is that pasta, or is that zucchini? Is that what I'm saying? And what's a fat? You know what I'm saying, in relation to that? Like, is that avocado? Is it butter? Is it
all of the above? Yeah. So it's confusing, and you get, we've had this really mixed messaging as we've been growing up of what's good, what's bad. So there's a lot of relearning that has to happen. And that's the hard part, because you've been taught all these things that probably aren't completely accurate, and they're really holding you back, from potentially just feeling really good by avoiding things that probably don't even really need to avoid.
Really? Any online resources that you guys can name that have helped you?
In terms of what? Nutrition?
Like, with nutrition websites, guidance and exercise websites, informative websites about mobility, which is something we haven't discussed.
Yeah. There's a couple good mobility apps that I utilize. There's one called GoWOD, which is a little more focused on what we do in here. And you can put in the movements you're going to do that day, and it'll give you a mobility exercise. It's like a 15-minute mobility session to get ready for that. It also has like a daily mobility and then an after workout mobility that you can do as well. There's another one called ROMWOD, which is ROMWOD, which is essentially yoga. It's like a 30-ish minute yoga session. But you're not just holding positions, you're kind of moving through positions, just becoming a little more mobile. Dude, as far as like exercise and nutrition, there's just so much out there. And there's so much. The problem is, whatever you want to believe, you're going to find something to make that belief more solid. So if you think keto is the greatest thing on earth, you're going to find 1,000 websites that will agree with you that keto is the best thing on earth. If you think that eating Big Macs only is the best thing on earth, you're going to find a guy that has a website that says, I've only eaten Big Macs for 20 years and look how great of shape I'm in. So, dude, there's just not great. The problem with the internet is there's so much information there, but it's all potentially bad information. Not really, because nobody says both sides. Yes,
and it's designed to agree with you. The algorithm sees that you're looking for answer A, and it continues to.
Here we go. Here's more of it.
Yep.
Yeah, and once you get down that path, it's hard to double back. Yeah. And but you did give us some resources here in town. You named a hormone replacement facility. Go see your doctor. Get your hormones tested.
Be careful with your doctors though, because a lot of times they're kind of
reserved,
old school, and they're going to be like, "Well, you're in normal range. Yeah. You're at 451, and normal range is 450 to 850." But I promise you feel better at 850 than you do at 450.
I've also seen the numbers I've heard from different doctors that the numbers that we consider pre-diabetic and pre-hypertension are off, depending on what you have in your system, B, what you're doing and what you're eating. Like if you're eating a keto diet, then what they're going to read, from your hormones
That's
and
going to
your
look a
blood
little
pressure.
different potentially. Yeah.
Your profiles are going to change totally.
Mhm.
That could be problematic.
And a lot of that stuff too, a lot of those ranges were determined by studies that, could, if you believe in conspiracies, right, that were funded by certain groups that want you to eat more sugar or less sugar or do more of this or do more of that. So you got to find a doctor that's a little in the gray area, that sees both sides of the coin, is just like, well, my medical textbook said this 25 years ago, so this is what we're going based off of. Like, it's the same thing why I don't want to give you a lot of resources, because everything's changing all the time. I'm constantly learning. Sherry's constantly learning. We're constantly evolving, like kind of what our thoughts are. There was a time when I thought, if you don't do competition in CrossFit, you're crazy. Like, you're missing out. It's like, no, it's actually started to become the opposite for me, where if you focus on that aspect of it, you're missing out.
Quick question. I don't know if you had that sleeve last time I saw you in person. Did
I
you
don't
have
know.
that sleeve? I came to you guys' wedding post party.
I did. Yeah.
You had a button down shirt on.
Yeah.
You had long sleeves on.
I had a professional mode.
Right. Well, I mean, it's like I didn't find out about it. Well, I did. I think you sent me a message and it got buried. And then you sent me another message and it was like, oh, I got to stop hiking now. So I drove across town and just barely made it.
Yeah.
So, that was a rush. Sherry, you're not a tattoo head, huh?
I have tattoos, yeah.
Yeah, tattoos. What's your guys' favorite tattoo parlor in the Atlanta area?
I don't know.
So I like the Japanese style tattoo. And then whenever people ask me about tattoos, it's the same kind of thing. You got to find somebody that does what you want well. So if you want to, there's different styles. There's nobody's going to be good at everything. It just doesn't exist. Like, you got to find someone that specializes in what you want. So the guy that I like, there's two guys at this particular shop that are really, really good.
I totally forgot. I went to the one guy. So
Thunderbolt Tattoo. It's in the perimeter. So if you're in the city, just make sure you bulletproof vest.
Did everybody know you were inside the perimeter?
They didn't.
Did alert go out? Because there's a thing that it's like an Amber Alert, but it's inverse. When they come into town, people are like, okay, heads up.
Yeah. Joe Vegas did my tattoo work. And this guy's name's Prof. Bundy, does hers. But it's a cool little studio. Last time I was in there, they were playing the soundtrack from Last Dragon, which was awesome.
Sukiyaki Soup.
Yeah.
And DeBarge.
Yeah.
Rhythm of the Night. And oh my God.
Yeah, it was great.
Show Enough just died not long ago.
That's too bad.
Yeah, Show Enough was was that like the only thing I ever saw him in? Show Enough?
I don't know.
Could be
anything else. Not that I remember.
Show Enough is the equivalent of Cyrus from the Warriors. Did you guys ever see the Warriors?
Yeah, I don't remember it, but I saw it, but I don't remember it very well.
Warriors is one of the greatest movies that should never and can never be redone, because there's no context for having roving street gangs that have themes that match like important zeitgeist discussions of that era, like where they had the baseball they had the baseball dudes,
zombie guys, right?
Huh?
Weren't they like baseball zombie guys? They had like
they got like their half of their face was white. Yeah. And then they had on baseball things, they all had bats, and they kind of acted like what's his name in Clockwork Orange, just a little. Yeah. And then they had the lesbian girl gang that stabbed them up. They had the gang of dudes who like really were like they weren't hardcore. The short guy walked up like, you guys can't just walk through our neighborhood. The Furies, exactly. Yeah. That movie just, and the what's her name? I forgot the actress's name. I don't know if she's around either, but she was the DJ and she was sending secret messages out to the gangs of where the Warriors were getting to. Mm-hmm. And then she was playing like Nowhere to Run To and all that.
He knows all the information. Or
Danny must have watched this movie like recently, or like has seen it so many times. He has the Warriors quote. He has the baseball Furies. He has the Lizzies. Like, he knows all the gangs. He probably knows the areas. Okay, real quick, Tubba Wubs. Where were they going? Where was their territory? They were trying to get from one part of New York, which I believe, I'm not going to say, I'm going to let you say it. Where were they going? Where did they start off? Where was Cyrus's big conversation? And where were they trying to get to by battling their way back through the city? Quick. Don't Google it.
Do you think people know that Anchorman was making fun of that when they did the whole gang fight.
Yeah, people over 40.
Different.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like you got to realize like the Warriors came out in like the mid 1970s.
Yeah.
Like that's a classic old movie. Like that. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, he got it right. They were headed to Coney Island, and where did they start out? I bet she doesn't know that. If he does, he's gonna look it up and he's gonna play it off like I'm not sure. I think I remember this. And when I talk like that, have any of you guys seen the T-Pain conversation that he had about Michael Jackson's voice? And has anybody seen the clip of Michael Jackson when he walked in the award show and he talked in his regular voice for a second and then he was like, yeah, my name is... like he literally had a different voice.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people don't know that.
Holy Stanley admitted he didn't know the answer to that one.
Well, I believe they started out in Battery Park, which is weird because I think Battery is on the other side of downtown. I'm not sure, but I was pretty sure it started out at Batteries Park and not the World's Fairground, but I can't remember. I would have known if he would have said it, but I know they were headed to Coney Island, and that's where they met the huge black gang that was called the no, he's not going to know that. It was amazing. I mean, just the idea of the movie, it's just amazing. I remember they said they wanted to redo it, but I was like, there's no street gangs anymore like that, dude. So if you try to do it in this era, it's not going to make sense because that was an era in New York and in major cities when every neighborhood had a different gang in a different territory, and you were running through other people's territories. And it's sure on a level that exists now, but it doesn't exist thematically. And it wasn't exaggerated to that level. You know what I mean? It's kind of like Beat Street. Like you'll never have that era of hip hop again.
Yeah.
You'll never have, that, people are still hitting trains. People are still doing it. But the underground parties and the battles and, breaking being as prevalent as
the dance party to save miracles. You know what that is? Sherry doesn't know. She had a shielded childhood where she didn't get to watch movies like Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo.
She was in Texas, man. She was in Texas. You could just remake the movie with the gangs from the movie. The video gang had more gangs than the movie showed. Tubba Wubbs, if I was going to redo the Warriors, and this is another one of me giving away ideas and film ideas I have, I would redo the Warriors so far in the future. And then I would exaggerate all the gangs based on pop culture that I created for the future. Meaning I would completely reinvent an environment that reflected New York, but was like 200-300 years in the future, in a dystopian future that reflects New York in the 1970s, enabling you to just completely recreate the whole thing and then present it as this is what society has decayed into. It's gone backwards. That'd be the only way to really do it and make it like cool and make sense, is to do it that way. You could do it in the Avatar world, like everybody's playing avatars in this gang, and then everybody's looking for something inside the gang world, so none of it's real. It's all virtual. That might be interesting. But they already did a movie about avatars doing stuff, so that'd be way less fun. What else can you guys think of? Like, what would you want to leave people with? Like, if we end this discussion now, aside from come visit our gym.
No, I mean, dude,
membership,
the reality of our gym and the type of gym it is, we're really only for like people that are within like a 3 to 4 or 5 mile radius. And that's the reality. Like people aren't going to drive super far, and inconvenience themselves to be out of a gym. So, if you ever see us, that's great. Everyone's welcome to come check us out. But for me, man, it's just, you got to put exercise as one of the most important parts of your day. Like, what's the point of working hard and saving up all this money and having all this success if you die of a heart attack when you're 56 years old and you don't get to enjoy, 40% of your life because all you did was waste, the prime of your life sitting in an office desk chair. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. And for people that want to, do some kind of fitness endeavor, like this is what I'm passionate about. It's always been what I'm passionate about. Sherry shared that passion. And that's why when she was ready to leave her job, it was a no-brainer for her to come on and work here. It would be way better for us if she would have kept her other job. We would have way less stress and way more money in the bank. But it's what she loves. The hard part is sometimes you start to hate what you love too, because it can really take a turn to the negative if you let it. But move as much as you can throughout the day. Stop trying to find that next best fad to change your life. Like just do
It's work.
things correctly every single day. And then after 500 days, all of a sudden you'll feel good and you'll look like it just is what it should be, a daily thing. You should eat well every day within reason. You should move every day within reason. It's just like you should get enough sleep every day within reason. You should have contact with other humans every day. If you're in a relationship that's consensual, you should have sex almost every day if you can. Like these things that build a good quality of life. Like that's the kind of stuff people should be focusing on. Not, well, should I do bodybuilding or should I do CrossFit or should I do this competition thing or this? Like just pick something and go with it and put in some amount of effort into it and do it every day for the rest of your life. Or you need rest days, but yeah, but do something that helps you have a good life longevity.
What are you guys reading?
I hate reading.
None. Nothing.
Yeah, I don't. She doesn't either. We're so similar, dude. I get so bored when I read, and the way my brain works, I will have read like 3 pages, and I'm thinking about something else. I don't remember what I read.
Everything.
Like, what did I just read? So I don't actually. I read a lot, like on the internet, I guess, like websites and stuff. But I wouldn't consider that reading. I don't know. Like it is,
but not books.
I watch a lot of YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More visual than.
I've never been a big reader.
Sherry, what were you doing before you did the gym?
I was a regional director for a medical supply company.
Oh, that sounds exciting.
Yes. Yeah. So I had field reps and I had a territory and I would manage. Basically, it was a lot of hiring and then they didn't work out. So I had to fill in, then rehire. So that was like the big process of it all. But yeah.
And this is much, much better, I'm assuming.
Yes. I'm a lot happier now.
You get to spend time with Justin. Who doesn't like him? He's a human teddy bear. If you need a pin, you just reach right inside of his beard, pull it out.
He only has a beard because of me. So
yeah, she likes it.
Yeah.
I don't. It's fine. Sometimes you want to get rid of it, but I'm not allowed.
He threatens all the time.
Hey, that's it. I'm cutting the beard. He's like, okay, you win.
Every time I eat, it's food all over everywhere, and it's the worst.
Do you ever threaten to cut it? Like, do you ever hold the clippers up? Do you like hold the beard?
I bet how long I've had it for so long now, it would probably look weird.
Yeah, I'm just curious if you've ever tried the beard hostage thing. Since Sherry likes it so much, maybe you could just, say, don't.
An empty threat.
Yes.
Yeah, you're not going to do anything with it.
Yeah, because then my sex everyday thing will go away.
Yeah, it'll be sex.
We don't want that.
It'll be sex when you get your beard back.
Yeah, in 4 months when it comes back.
In 4 months, maybe.
Yeah.
So sex every day, huh? Look at you guys.
That's pretty close. Did we? So we did a sex tracker last year.
Boy. Here we go.
It was great. So we were like, we did this tracker in the beginning of the year, and it was focusing on like creating healthy habits. So like eating enough protein or walking or doing the things like tracking that stuff. Because if you write it down, a lot of times you'll actually do it. And I said, oh, just for fun, we should track how much we have sex. And so, we tracked it. We did it throughout the entire year, and we ended up having sex 50% of the year. Like every other day was like the average. And we had a happy year. I don't know. I mean, it's, I think that dynamic in a relationship is really important. We're in our 40s. It's not like we're in our 20s. But it's important to have that physical connection with the person you're with. And putting it on paper and seeing. So the other thing that eliminates too is that argument when you're laying in bed, you're like, we never have sex. Yeah. It's like, well, look at the tracker. We do have sex. Maybe it's been 3 days, but before that 3 days, we had 4 days in a row, like. Which
one of you is the never had sex person when that conversation happens?
Me.
Yes. Okay. So you need it more than Sherry does.
Come on. Yeah. Not really. It's just me. Living in the moment instead of reality.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm bad. I literally, as you know, my head, literally, if you could look at my head, you'd open the back door and it would be gears and shit going. And then when you start to hear that fucking Looney Tunes music, don't. It's like, Jason, you should come to bed now. It's like, I can't come to bed because the gears are still turning.
Yeah.
I'm like literally Black Rick from Rick and Morty. Right, there's literally a time machine, an interdimensional portal, a gun, Mr. Meeseek's boxes in the closet.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever watched? If anybody here hasn't watched Rick and Morty, you need to at least watch season 1 of Rick and Morty, because conceptually, it's probably one of the coolest, like most humorous, high concept things ever created for media. It's It just the idea of the things that
Sherry
Mr.
would like
Meeseeks.
No?
No, you wouldn't like it. It's
Oh
good.
no, come on, man, show her the Mr.
We
Meeseeks
can watch
episode.
it.
Is it on Netflix?
No, but it's on.
Yes, it is.
on
It's on,
HBO
it's on Hulu and Netflix, I believe, but now it'll be on HBO Max because
It's
Discovery
HBO.
bought HBO, and that's all now a part of that
We
Warner.
can get it. We'll see. I don't think she'll like it.
Yeah.
You know what's great? Have you seen Better Call Saul? Or
It is. It's slow. It's even slower than.
I think it's better.
It's better because it actually is better at making you uncomfortable. You really don't want to see him constantly going down the slide.
Well, don't spoil it. We're only in season 4.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I have no intention of spoiling it because I skipped around and I don't know. I think I'm on season 3 or the end of season 2. But but the paradigm of the show is still there, and Vince Gilligan and his team are really good at making you uncomfortable with his lack of any type of moral floor. Like there's no place that he goes, he won't go under. And then as a counter to that, there's also nobody that he wouldn't lie to.
Right.
If it served his needs, and he's also willing to do things that are just, completely ethically compromised. And it's interesting.
And Bob Odenkirk is just
He's so good at it. Did you watch his movie, Mr. Nobody?
I love that movie. I think he did great in that.
Yeah, it's a really, really well done movie.
I was been making Sherry watch Mr. Show. I don't know if you saw that on HBO back in the day with him and David Cross.
Yeah,
HBO, like just such great sketch comedy from the one. I think it's the early '90s. But really good stuff. The guy's just so talented.
He's talented, and it's good because he's somebody that you can use an example of when you're not 20 and you make it. How you can do so much work over the course of decades, and one part makes it for you. You always have to do that one. Me and you had that conversation a long time ago. You got to do one thing right.
Yeah.
One thing right, and it lifts you to the next level, and then you just got to do one more thing right. It's never a litany of things. Very seldom do you have to be Stephen King, where you have an immense volume of work that transcends anybody else's latitude in terms of how much they're gonna nobody will ever write that much, but for somebody like him to write book after book after book after book after book and it'd be excellent every time, that's super rare. Everybody can't be Tesla, but anybody can be Young MC. Anybody, you busted. He's still making bust a move money.
Yeah,
but he also did a lot more. He wrote other people's lyrics. He produced songs. But you got to do that one thing right, and that one thing that you do right will put you in a position, to excel. Justin meeting you,
very sure.
He didn't throw. I tell you, literally, he was talking to me. I was outside of a Walmart working on First Man when he told me that he met you. True story.
Oh, yeah.
I was working on First Man, and I think I was trying. He was like, "You should come by the gym," because I was on one part of Alpharetta. I was way out Holcomb Bridge Road, and we were shooting there for like weeks. And I was like, so I swung by there. I think I just missed you at the gym or whatever. And then we talked a couple days later. He's like, there's this lady I'm at the gym, and like I don't know, like if it makes sense. But I really like this about her, and I like that about her, and I'm just kind of thinking. I was like, I think you're overthinking it.
Yeah, that's what I do, though.
I think that if you continue thinking about it, you'll either talk yourself out of it or you waste your time. It's a shit or get off the pot situation. It's a move forward or lose kind of situation. And me, I'm a gambler. Yes. What? $17,000 to do a film festival? Fuck it, let's do it. Oh my gosh. Only 30 people showed up. I'll work it off. Try the next thing. What's next? Oh, there's this Middle Eastern guy that wants to build a nuclear bomb out of a briefcase. How much do I get? What is it? How does it profit me? I just want to see if he can do it.
Yeah.
Let's go. It's you always got to gamble in life. And now, what you guys are telling people is gamble on yourself. Go to the gym, take a risk. Don't be afraid of the outcome. Whatever happens, like if you did suddenly swell up and become a bodybuilder and you're uncomfortable with that, all you have to do is return to what you were normally doing, which is sit on your couch.
Yep.
and eat donuts.
And
you'll
spoiler alert, it's not going to happen. So don't worry.
No, there's people. We both know people who are taking supplements, taking performance enhancers, who are going to the gym twice a day, who are eating thousands of calories a day, and they're still not bodybuilders.
Yep, they just look. They might look like they're in shape a little bit, but they
Maybe.
wouldn't. You would be like,
Maybe.
You
would never know.
Gym when I was 20 years old, and the guys that were doing the most steroids looked the worst. There were guys that looked like just big beer bellies, not even strong, but they were thinking if they took more drugs, they could look like the guy in the corner. But they just So that's not really the way.
No.
Yeah, man, just move, find something you enjoy. Our style of gym, you got that class environment, you got people that are there the coach is there to encourage you, the other classmates, if you find the right community that fits you. But find something that you enjoy. Do it 3 to 5 times a week. Try to get outside. That's my issue. I don't get outside enough. Like, get outside, walk around, enjoy the world a little bit. And then, don't eat like an asshole all the time. And you'll probably feel and look pretty good.
Sounds like good advice. Hopefully you and Sherry will get into town. I would love to have dinner with both of you guys.
We'll have to make it happen.
I'm up in my car is currently in Lilburn being he's getting a new engine put in it because now is the worst time in the world to buy a car.
Right.
And so I got a new engine, and the guy put the engine in. It was working when it was in the car that got wrecked. But when he moved it into my car, now it has a problem. And I was like, "Damn, did you get the computer?" You know me, like with me, it's always a logic game. So I don't want to tell you how to do your job, but I'm just like, "Did you steal the computer out of the other car?" Because why don't you just steal the brain that it's talking to in my car? Maybe doesn't like that engine. Go steal the other brain, put the brain in my car. Dump the sensors and then try it that way. I'm not a mechanic though, so I would be disrespecting him, like telling him how to, to do his job. But whatever. It was working when it was in the wreck. That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? My car's not wrecked, so it should be rolling down the road right now. You should be saying, "Come get your car," but you can't. You can come up to North Springs and we'll pick you up. Right. Take North Springs.
North.
MARTA.
Let me tell you something. Heidi's not getting on MARTA.
My dad.
She invented a new word for our world, and it's called COVID. Like too many people that look too dirty, all in one place at one time, breathing out of their mouth. COVID, not going.
Yeah.
She's not doing the train, so me and her would have to basically drive our asses up there. She's got, we're a 2-car unit. I can make it happen.
Yeah.
What'd your dad say? Your dad did what?
He was on MARTA last night, and there's
lost.
2 choices: Red North or Gold North. I said Red North. He got on Gold North, and he's like, "I'm in some Chambly place," and I'm like, "Dude, you're old, but you're not that old."
Some people
figured it out.
Some people are born without a compass.
No, I understand, man.
Justin, sorry.
He doesn't. If you don't go on public transportation often, it's easy to get.
Justin. There's three train lines, and people get lost in Atlanta every day, and they actually take the train every day.
Yeah.
So some people don't have a compass. Some people don't have a thermometer. Some people Chris Roth, no thermometer. He was in the room. He didn't know the temperature of the room, and then this happens. You guys, dude, thank you so much for taking the time. And I think some people got something out of this. I think you may have encouraged some people to A, exercise, B, eat better, C, explore different types of exercise, and not be nervous about it and not be afraid of it. Yep. It's I know you'll give all the credit to Sherry.
Sure.
You guys are a great couple. You guys are fantastic. Justin doesn't believe it, but he's a good-looking dude. That's why he wins. That's why he wins. Must be the beard.
Whatever makes it happen, man.
Yeah, whatever makes it happen. Thank you so much for taking the time, and everybody who happens to be in Alpharetta. And there are people on here that do live in Alpharetta that could come to your gym and pay a visit and spend a little time there. You should go check them out. You guys take care. I'm going to come up there. If there's anything I can do for you guys ever, please let me know.
Sounds good.
Other people can watch this on YouTube. If you happen to not, be here now, you'll figure it out later. All right. Go have a nice dinner in Alpharetta. I'll catch up with you guys later. I'll give you a call afterward to make sure I didn't waste your time.
Sounds good, man.
See ya.
All right. Take care, guys. Be safe.